like thinking like I'll never love my kid because I gamble, and you know, all them intrusive
same.
thoughts,
yeah.
like
Which actually makes it worse, doesn't it?
100%. Don't get me wrong, I was there for my son and I shown up, but I wasn't present. I was you know, gambling. He'd playing with toys. It's sad to say, but he was playing with toys, and I would be trying to win money. And like looking back now, I think I used to feel so bad about that, because the beautiful, amazing boy he is now, he gets to appreciate me in this recovery position, this amazing mum.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hayley, thank you so much for coming today.
You're welcome.
No, it means a lot to me. So since I met you, and it was at first over Instagram, and we know a lot of similar people, you blew my mind, mate, and I mean that. Seeing someone like you overcome what you've overcome, and to put daily positive affirmations on, to be just lifting people's spirits up, it's fucking breathtaking, mate.
Thank you.
No, it really is. So since we met, you were always coming on here for me.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
No way.
Listen, you probably don't understand this, but what you do on a day-to-day, you're helping so many people. Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. So again, thanks for coming, because it means so much.
No, I appreciate it to be a guest.
So, start on a positive. I believe you celebrated 4 years of not gambling last August.
Yeah, I did.
That's unbelievable.
Thank you.
How does that make you feel?
Buzzing. I think, do you know, it's just a day at a time now, and that's, I think, like, being in recovery, it just, over time, it just dwindles away, and you're just so far away from where I was. I just appreciate waking up another day and, you know, not gambling or putting a bet on.
Yeah, similar to me. Every day's a blessing,
Yeah.
innit? Don't get me wrong, some days, not every day's a bed of roses,
Yeah,
but
of
we've
course,
got the tools, haven't we, to work on it
to
today.
make it better.
But tell me from the start, if you can,
Okay.
you know, how you become a gambling addict, how you even knew you were a gambling addict.
Yeah. Like, looking back now, I didn't probably think I had a problem or was a gambler. But from a young age, I was always like, you know, when you go Blackpool with your parents, I would love that thrill of winning, even if it was like pennies, you know.
2p machines.
Yeah, on them, bashing them out. And I think, like, that's where it must have started, because I don't think you can actually remember at what pinnacle, do you know?
Yeah.
But I've always had it in me, like addiction and wanting to do things a lot, like, compulsively. And definitely over the years, I was doing silly things along the way. Looking back now, I know that they was obviously active from that. I remember helping my friend one year clean a bookmakers, and I was robbing money and stuff out the till, and you know, that was just another thing that, like, why are you doing stuff like that? What we were talking about a bit before, like going to friends and doing things that you're your friends and taking things that, you know, not yours to take. I don't know, it was just, I couldn't say a point where I knew that I was a gambler until, like, in 2019. I know I don't really have much of a story from back then. It was more, I always had fun with friends putting bets on. We used to go casino nights, you know, get a little meal and a cocktail and have a bit of fun, then go home, and that was it. But I think in 2018, I got pregnant with my son. And 2016, sorry, I got pregnant with my son, and I was really poorly, obviously, carrying a baby. You have morning sickness and everything all the time. So, and I worked at McDonald's at the time, and I could never go into work because I was so sick, and I was losing money. Anyway, I started, like, putting bets on to try and make some money, you know, And that's where the whole thing really escalated massively, because I was getting in debt. I weren't putting gas and electric on, weren't paying the rent. My partner at the time didn't have a clue. And I just went down that slippery slope, and I couldn't get out of it. So over, like, the 9 months of being pregnant was shocking. Like, literally every day waking up, we used to get paid every 2 weeks, and by the time I got to work, I'd spent my wage. And no one knew, didn't tell anyone. I remember working one of the times, and I was playing it while I was working, and then screaming like, oh yeah, I've won 600 quid, but by the time I got home, I'd lost it again.
Really?
Yeah, and that just kept happening.
So if you
like
ever
that.
won what you class as a bit of a big win, no matter how much you put in before that wasn't enough. You
Never.
could say, take that out, buzz it.
Yeah, never. There's one time I took 900 quid out, and I paid for a holiday one time, and I won thousands here, there and everywhere over a few years, and not once did I accumulate it up and keep it and think, do you know what, I'm going to spend that on the house or go out, or no, it just went straight back in. It might not have gone in straight away, it might have just left it there for a bit, but like the day after, 24 hours after, it would be gone, and I'd probably put 10 times more back in, trying to chase it every time to win it. Yeah, every single time.
That compulsivity to want to chase whatever it is, the feeling. Did you think when you were gambling, when you're on the slots or whatever it was on your phone, do you feel like that took you out of reality?
100
And
million
it's
percent.
escapism,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
100%. So I gave birth to my son in October 2016, and then I didn't feel right after I gave birth, and I was like, I feel really depressed and sad. And I think it's because I've been gambling for the whole pregnancy, and then now I was a mum. Like, I've got to flipping look after a child.
Which is a
yeah.
massive though, isn't it? Let's
And
be
I'm a
honest.
first-time mum at this point, so I didn't know what to do. You know, you don't get a book and say, this is how you be a mum. You just go with the flow. So then a few weeks passed and I was still crying every day. I think a lot of it was triggered by what I'd been doing and no one knew. So I was coping with gambling. I had a traumatic birth. Then about 2 months after, I got diagnosed with postnatal depression after having my son. And I was just so depressed. I lost I was like a bag of bones and I was still gambling. Everyone still didn't know and it was just horrendous. And then I was like thinking like I'll never love my kid because I gamble and you know all them intrusive thoughts like
which actually makes it worse.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
100%. Don't get me wrong, I was there for my son and I shown up, but I wasn't present.
Yeah, totally
I was you know, gambling. He'd playing with toys. It's sad to say, but he was playing with toys and I would be trying to win money. Yeah. And like looking back now, I think I used to feel so bad about that because the beautiful, amazing boy he is now, he gets to appreciate me in this recovery position, this amazing mum, not that shit person that I was, do you know? And it got to a point where I'd had enough and I was stealing from the wrong people, getting in trouble with the wrong people, shoplifting, and there was a pinnacle of my story where something happened and I had to own up, I had to fess up to some really crap things that I'd done. And looking back now, obviously it was the best thing that could have happened.
But
because,
at the time,
yeah,
I'm guessing it was extremely
it was. Like I was saying before, I ran away, I didn't know what to do, I turned my phone off.
Like guilt, shame, remorse.
Everything I was crying 24/7, depressed, was out of a job, was like, it was horrible, such a horrible experience. But I know I had to go through that to get here, and which is beautiful now.
It's beautiful now, in hindsight.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, I lived in regret of my actions for so long, and I never felt worthy of being in recovery until a couple of years ago where I felt like, you know what, I've done the work, I'm in a much better place, I've got to forgive myself for making those rubbish choices. And now I just wake up like with the utmost gratitude.
Which we can all see. Honestly, the light you shine, mate, is
you.
unreal. No, it is.
Thank
You're an
you so
absolute buzz.
much.
You put a smile on my face every day. But I picked up on a few things you said, because obviously I'm recovered coke addict, alcoholic. I identify pretty much everything you say. So when you, just touching on when you said no one knew for a long time with me. I was great at manipulating, lying, plotting, scheming. I'll do anything to protect that bag of coke. And it wasn't because you're going to be stealing my fun time. Yeah. Deep down, I was guilty. I felt horrible. I felt disgusting. I knew deep down I was letting people down. But for me, the compulsion to want to get off my head, to want to change the way I feel, it just outweighed that. Of course. So for me, I worked very hard for people not to see it. Would you say you've done the same?
1,000,000%. And do you know what? People knew I had a gambled because I'd been around family and be like, oh, I won 300 quid today. And they're like, bloody hell, you're lucky. Or I won 80 quid on roulette. And
so were they only hearing the wins?
yeah, of course they was. Do you think anyone ever said, how much have you put in? How much have you put in? Yeah, you might have won 300 quid, but how much did you put in today? No, God knows if anyone asked me that question, I would have lied anyway. I would have said, oh, nothing, I put a tenner in and hit the jackpot. No, that's not a jackpot. Do you know what I mean? I was always chasing that big win. I used to like be in a dream world and think, do you know what? I'm going to win 10 grand. And then when I win 10 grand, I'll pay off the debts that I've got along the way. Like, go on holiday and everything will be beautiful. And I was always chasing it. And I believe I was going to win it so many times. Like,
so do you believe so in that mindset, if you had won the jackpot, right, do you reckon, even though your head's saying, I'll pay all this off and I'm going to stop?
Not a chance, no.
But you believed it at the time. Yeah, 100%.
And reading the literature at GA and everything, they talk about the dream world and this fantasy. And I was like, oh, I'll get a nice car, I'll do that. I'll get out my own house and I'll forget gambling. Gambling will go in the bin. But God, I know if that was the case, that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't, definitely
like I say, everything happens for reasons. Like, from what I gather from that is I used to call it moving the goalposts. So if I lose my job, I'll stop. Lost my job. All right, then if I lose my house, I'll stop. I just kept moving the goalposts. Do you know what I mean? Never actually put the right action in. Just for anyone who doesn't know, GA is what? Gamblers Anonymous. Yeah, so I've come from CAAANA. So Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous. They're all 12-step fellowships. Yeah. Am I right in saying you're on fire here today because of the 12 steps and the action you've put in.
100%. And do you know what? When I first started GA, I didn't really know about the steps. A few people had spoke about it, but I just never thought I'd something I'd do. I'd never done any therapy, never done any like working on myself. And I probably, I know, I wouldn't have even done it, even if I didn't gamble or do anything. I had to go through that to get to where I am and get in recovery and feel better about myself as a person. But yeah, it was scary, like when you open it and you're reading like 1 to 12 what you've got to do, how honest you've got to be, how raw you've got to be, you've got to explain.
It's a long task,
yeah.
It's a big task, innit?
It's so
it
scary.
seems like a big task. They always say it's simple, but it's us that makes it.
And I think it's about being very open, and in GA you've got to be open as well, you've got to be willing, you've got to have hope, faith, to want to change your life.
Yeah, honesty.
Yeah, and be honest, and you know, write that stuff down that you've done. It's not great stuff, but you've got to get it out there and like you burn it and you send it off into the universe and it's gone. I know some people won't ever forget things that you've put them through, but if they can see that you're working to be in recovery, you're sustaining, and like what we were saying before, so many great things have happened for me since not gambling, and I know that they wouldn't have.
Exactly, we
really
touched on it, innit?
Yeah.
I don't believe in coincidence anymore. You know, my experience tells me personally, there's no such thing as coincidences. And it feels like you've got that same experience, that when we're in that negative mindset, inactive addiction, life unmanageable, lying, fucking stealing, manipulating, things happen like speeding tickets, like we were saying, or something happens at work. But now you start to change your life around, you can actually see doors are opening, positivity everywhere. You're not even having to look for it. It sort of falls on your lap, doesn't it? And
I think the more good you do, it's coming round.
Exactly.
Even to, you know, this morning I went to a meeting and I was sat on a Greggs on the bench. I do the same thing every week. Get a Greggs and sit on this bench. It's like a nostalgic thing, because when I first went, I was so scared, and I just remember getting a coffee anyway. This lovely lady came over to me, she was like, do you know where this building is? I'm lost. And it took me 20 minutes to help her find it, but I had no problem with doing that. I had time to spare, and it's just doing those little things. Like, it's when I was gambling, I'd have been like, oh, sorry.
So it's like selfless acts of kindness, isn't it? And it doesn't matter how small it is. So I see that as, for me, even if I'm walking past people and working with don't really know, I'll smile and say hello. If I can, I'll open the door.
Yeah, I love it.
Because it's little things like people might not think there's any power in that, and there isn't reasons why I should do it. For me, it definitely helps me. Why? Because my default setting is I ain't opening the door for fucking no one. And I will walk past you and I have a stare at you with my head down. So, like, I still, even though 2.5 years in, you're fucking nearly 4.5 years in, mega, I still can struggle. But the only difference is today, I've got that toolkit, some people say spiritual toolkit, which enables me to rein it in or to divert it. Does that make sense?
And being accountable as well.
100%.
Do you know what, like, I'm only human. I can still say shitty things to people sometimes and not mean it. But now I can send that message back after and say, do you know what, I'm so sorry.
Apologise.
I've had a stressful day. Like, I didn't mean to. And it's beautiful. And then the person's like, do you know what, it's cool.
See, don't you find that? So a lot of the time I've got anxiety even about apologising, thinking, fucking hell, I shouldn't have done it. And they might not take it anyway. But it's surprising that when you be vulnerable, even if you're in the wrong, and you genuinely mean it, the response you get is usually like
it
mind-blowing. It shocks you in a good way, doesn't it?
It keeps you in check. I think doing those things, it's something for your soul, man. It's not that addiction. It's not that chasing the gamble. It's good for me now, like, to be a better person. Like we were saying before, we've always had it in us. We've always been nice people, but you're just poorly, and I was so poorly. And I think, like, talking about it now and being open and knowing that I can help someone, like, and sharing in the rooms and. Like, GA, like what we were saying, is for life for me. I might not go every week because I have my son and commitments and other things, but I'm in a WhatsApp group and they know if they need me. Someone rang me on the other, like, Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. because he knows I'm up. Something occurred anyway, and he was like, I knew you were awake, can I just have a quick chat? And I was like, of course, mate, I'm having a brew. And then he texted me like, you are like 1 in a million. Like, what you've just said, you've brought me back down to earth. I've not kicked off and I've had a good day. And it's just about help, literally, I will help anyone.
But isn't it unreal that you've admitted that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't have even had that text to someone, because no one would have texted you for help.
I never texted anyone back.
Exactly.
Friends used to reach out and I'd blank them for days and I'd be like, what are you doing? Are you okay? Like, oh yeah, I'm fine, just didn't feel well. But behind the doors, I was gambling my life away and depositing, no care in the world for people around me and what I was doing, and it was so well hidden. And that's the worst thing, I think, with gambling. People that are doing it out there, man, my heart goes out to them, because I just wish they could get in a place where they walk in that room. Do you know what? I went into GA, and obviously you sit in a room, it's like when you see it sometimes, you know, in programs and stuff, and it's like cliche and blah, 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 but I was sat crying on a chair, There was 22 men sat around me, and they were all confident talking. And they say, like, you can speak now if you want, Hayley, or you can just listen. And I just was crying, like, I don't know what to say. I just need help. And they were like, do you know what? Come back every week and watch your life change. And I didn't know if it was going to work, because some people get it first time, some people don't. But I just knew I had to do something. I knew, like, I was in the shit, you know, and I wanted to change my life. I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't know, like, a year later I was going to have an amazing job. I was going to start a business. I was going to do simple things like decorate my house, you know, things that I procrastinated for so long.
So procrastination was massive, especially in my recovery, like, to the point, it sounds really bad, but I've got to be honest today. Yeah. It wasn't always like this in my active addiction, but when I was in the dark spells, I wouldn't brush my teeth. Yeah. I would hardly have a wash. Yeah. I didn't care. Because I got to a point where I got comfortable feeling like shit. Yeah. It become a bit of a safe place, if that makes sense. And I don't know about you, but any time I tried to lengthen them gaps, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, a few months, I just got worse. Yeah. Because I wasn't putting, like the saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I kept stopping on my own, which I couldn't stay stopped, by the way, but not changing anything in my day-to-day routine. And expecting something different. And then when I relapsed, I'm like, what's happened? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for that desperation that you talk about as well.
I think with, like what we were saying before, with drinking and drugs and stuff like that, like you're putting it in you, like you're doing it. Whereas gambling, obviously you're depositing money, but your mental health and your mind
that's what blows my mind. And that's why I was buzzing when you're coming on, because I don't think I've ever really met someone who said they're actually gambling addicts. It's all usually drink or drugs with me, whether it's codeine or whatever. Yeah. And I watched Paul Merson's, what I was telling you about on Netflix, which is a massive watch for anyone. He's alcoholic, cocaine addict, and he's got a massive gambling addiction, and it's the gambling addiction that's absolutely ruining him at the minute. It's a good watch, so please look at it. But what I took from that is what you just said, which I'm intrigued at. So for someone like me, one of the first things is don't put a drink or a drug in you, because once I do, I set off this phenomenal craving. But it's the hardest thing is saying no. But obviously, with yourself, you don't actually put anything. You're not drinking fucking bets, are you? Do you know what I mean?
It's nuts that you do it.
So it's up here again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's that. It's easy money. If you win, you're winning, you're buzzing. If you're putting 20 quid in and you're making 3 grand, you're thinking, well, that was quick, that was easy. I'm just going to do it again. And I think that's what I was doing, trying to chase it every time. And if I lost it, I was like, I need to get that back. I've got a bill to pay. But then before I knew it, I'd lost 5 times more as that, and I just could not get out of it.
How was so say you lost a lot, how was your head after that? So you've got no more money now, you spent up, you've lost loads, you've probably had money where you could have took it out. Where's your head? So obviously come downs from drinking cocaine. What is, obviously I'm guessing it is a come down, isn't it?
It is. But do you know, because people didn't really know, I was just fighting, literally.
Putting a mask on?
Yeah, no one knew. So I might have lost 3 ton and I'd go downstairs and make tea like everything's normal. I swear to God,
like chameleons,
it's sickening me. It makes me feel sick that I could just crack on like that. And you know,
But again, you know that, mate. That's not you.
No, I know.
You were a poor person, but I can still beat myself up like that, because looking back, you can't deny what we were.
No,
because I can't. I got to a point where I couldn't say it's all the drinking drugs' fault. Yeah. They changed my mindset, but it was me saying and doing everything. Yeah. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but I feel like that's where the real growth comes from, isn't it?
100%. And no one was telling me to put that money in. I was using the money to do it. I was choosing not to put gas and electric on, not pay rent, and doing that. It's just crazy. The whole experience, I think, going through it all to bring me to go to GA is what's changed me as not doing it. Like,
so you wouldn't change anything?
No.
Even your baddest times?
No, because if I didn't go into GA, I'd be still doing it now. I know I would. I didn't know what to do. I deleted the apps. I didn't block myself, sorry. I kept deleting them, downloading them, putting them in a different name, putting them in.
So you were actually doing things for yourself you tried?
I tried, but I'd wake up the next day and be like, I need to make that £300 because I need it. Like, I don't know how I survived. I really do not. And being a mum as well, I don't know how I survived. Like, my shoplifting was terrible and it was just a shit show. It really was. And I had to hit that pinnacle of that dark moment in August the 15th.
Rock bottom,
yeah. I had to hit that. I think that was my last bet. The 24th of August 2019 was my last bet. Oh, wow. And then for a couple of weeks I was just like floating around in another world, like what am I supposed to do now? Because I'd completely stopped off my own back. but I was still, my mind was messed.
So you had the washing machine mind. So would you say, before you got to GA, even though you had that, what we
2
call a
weeks,
sobriety or whatever it is, was you white knuckling it?
Oh, mate.
So you were
Yeah.
dying to, but you'd done everything
but
in your power to...
But I knew because people had found out, I couldn't do it. I was like, imagine I went and done it now, I'd get kicked. I wouldn't have my son, I wouldn't have a home, I wouldn't have a partner. So I think I was just floating around for that time.
On fear.
Yeah.
And because your windows of opportunity are starting to close now. There's no more windows to get through, is there?
No, I had no access to money, nothing. And then I remember going online, I can't even remember how I found it, but I typed it in, sent a couple of emails, someone rang me and they were like, yeah, it's at this place, this time. And my partner at the time just took me and it was like, you've got to do this.
That's mega, that. So touching on that, so how did you find out about GA and what made you go? Did you admit it and someone said, try this?
Yeah, no, I just knew I had to do something. And I'd heard of like Alcoholics Anonymous and all that, but I didn't know there was a Gamblers Anonymous. And I literally Googled it and they've got like a big website with everything on it, And I thought, I've just got to try this. I don't know what to expect. And like, I'm a really confident person. I've been all my life. I love being on stage and drama and acting and done a TV program in America once. And, in Texas.
What?
Yeah.
You'll have to show us later, no way.
And like, I've always loved that thing. So I knew like I had it in me just to, make a difference and I wanted to be a better person. More, you know what? They say in GA, like, you do it for yourself, which you do.
First and foremost, you've got to, haven't you, really?
Because then it ripples on my family, my friends. But my strength was my son. And I was like, I've got to be a better person. And I just think now, like, if I was that person now at the age he is, I wouldn't be present. I wouldn't be doing all these fantastic things with him. I wouldn't be, like, the best version of myself I am now. And, like, completing the steps has leveled me up with my self-love, how I feel about myself. And, I always had issues with eating and gambling and putting on weight and feeling depressed. And, a lot of people feel like that and it's horrific. I've been there and I've always felt like shit about that. But now I feel like, I don't know, I feel amazing.
Yeah, so
that's the word.
It is what it is. You've got to a point where you love yourself, you've seen all your positives, you've seen what you've gone through. It's like, what can anyone do now?
Yeah, no one can say anything. They couldn't call me a word.
That's amazing to get to that point.
I feel like I love myself more than ever. And I put it on my socials all the time. And you know what? People message me like, I wish I felt like that. And I'm like, you can love yourself.
See, people say that, don't they?
Yeah.
So some people want what people have got, but without having to do the work they've done. And I get it. I was the same. I want everything yesterday. I don't want to wait.
Mm-hmm.
With addictions, unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No. And like, it's took me 4 years, to get where I am. Like the first year, I think I was just sailing through it, like praying every day, like, I've not put a bet on, I've not gambled, I've not bought a lottery ticket, that's what I mean, people don't get it. You can't go bingo, you can't buy a lottery ticket, you can't get a scratch card, you can't flip a coin, you can't.
Plus you're on your phone.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't go in the bookies, mate. I did like randomly years ago, but when I was in my active addiction, I didn't like go in the bookies, didn't go casino, I was literally on my phone. And I think that is it gets me so mad that it exists and that you can do it. And it's just a terrible disease. And if you can beat it, like, your life is beautiful. Like, it's a miracle. It is, because it's so addictive. And until you get control of it, like, it's shit. It really is.
100%. So I say this a lot, especially to newcomers, but even to people who've been around. Because I need to tell myself that addiction wants us dead.
Yeah.
It's one of the only diseases, and it is a disease, by the way.
Yeah.
It's confirmed by the WHO Health Organisation, the medical industry, and it has been for years. It centres in our head. Things like gambling, cocaine, drink, drugs, sex, that's a symptom of the problem. The problem centres in here. So it's about changing our mindset, our perspectives, and working on our inner self. As corny as it sounds, that's what frees us from the hopeless state of body and mind, basically. Mm-hmm. But going back, so if there's anyone struggling now, going back to your first meeting, how would you prepare someone who is feared up, they've got a problem, they don't know what to do? What would you say to that person? I would
literally say, knock on that door, watch it open, and you'll just see people that want to help you. Like, they want to help you, they want to help you change, and it's just making that step through the door, because the way GA is and the unity of the people is beautiful. They're so welcoming. Like, you wouldn't open the door and people be looking at you funny. I stand up, I greet them, I'm like, come in, are you okay? We take you out the room, we can have a little chat, you don't even have to say anything, just get your name, so we can bring you in the room and introduce you. And for me in my first meeting, it was just listening. And like, I listened to people's stories and they were flying, they were amazing. Like, a couple of people had been in recovery years, people had been mums. I remember there was a guy and he was 3 weeks ahead of me, and listening to his story, what he'd done in 3 weeks.
Really?
And even listening to his comments and feedback from everyone else, I'm like, mate, 3 weeks ago, you were crying, you couldn't even speak. Now you've just spoke for a good 10 minutes clear, and
Different
you know,
guy.
you've sorted your debts out, you know, your wife's feeling a bit better about, you know, you getting help. It's just really such a beautiful place to be in. And I've made, you know what, like, it's mad because they're literally all men in mine. There's two women that I've joined in the last few months. But for the last 3 years, it's literally men, and to sit there, like, they always say it to me, like, you've got bigger balls than me, mate.
Yeah.
Sitting in a room, like, with all these men and
I
talking.
to, mate, because that must be hard.
And do you know what, when I go in every week, for the last months and months, my story's been the same. I've had a great week, I've got nothing to report, no gambling, or like, oh, I've achieved this week, I've had a great week, done this with Loki, my son. You know, it's just such a beautiful place to be in, and I'll forever go to GA, 100%. Yeah.
I can back that up. So the experience I've ever had, any of the 12-step fellowships I've gone in, welcoming, they listen to you without judgment.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, some of the people I've met in recovery, I can share anything to them more than I could share to the people who are classed as my friends, if that makes sense.
We get each other.
Exactly.
Everything resonates, doesn't it? I think we've all been on similar journeys, whether it's, you know, drink, drugs, gambling. We've been at that pit, we've been in that terrible place, and you just don't know what to do. And I think if you just reach out, like, if anyone literally messages me now from this, I'll just be so grateful, because I want to help them.
Just on that, in the description of this video, Hayley's details and the socials will be there. So please reach out, because this girl is on fire and she inspires. Now you are, no, mate.
Thank you so
Credit
much.
where credit's due. There's a saying in the meetings, that you stick with the winners. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm drawn to the winners, because it's people like Hayley. Even if I'm having a bad day, her inspiration will rub off on me, and it'll make me second guess myself, or it'll make me think, you know what, I need to get up off my arse. So please get in touch. Any type of questions, get in touch. Her socials will be at the bottom of the description. So where do you see yourself? Do you set yourself any goals? What's the plan? Or do you literally keep it day to day?
I think being an addict, I just keep it simple. And that's something that I remember someone saying to me, like, just keep it simple. Yeah. Keep coming to your meetings, you know, keep reaching out, keep helping people. And I don't want to deep it. I just want to take a day at a time. Yeah. Obviously, I've got goals, things I want to do in the future, like, and having a nice job. You know, I'm a teaching assistant now, and the love and, like, appreciation for that job, like, I never knew what I wanted to do. Yeah, I never knew. And when I was gambling, I was applying for Tesco and Asda and things like, a job's a job, do you know what I mean? But I always knew that I wanted to do something else. I just didn't know what it was. And I think being in recovery, like, I just love children and spending time with them and helping them grow. And being a one-to-one, it's special because you create that bond. And and I would never have done that when I was gambling. I had no interest in anything, nothing. Like, literally didn't want to do anything, didn't want to go anywhere. Just wanted to be on my phone gambling. And I think being at the job that I do, I'm quite vocal in recovery. Like, I want to help people, and on my socials, I've got all my friends from work, and they know. And so many of them have come up to me in the last year. And been like, no way, like, what you posted last night is so brave of you. Really? Yeah, they're
so
like,
with people at work then, so this is a good one to ask. So I always used to say to myself, because I was, like I said, I was an embarrassment to myself. I kept going. I was going for 10 years, not every day and every week, but I was a part of recovery, 1 foot in, 1 foot out though. Yeah. And I couldn't get it. It was embarrassing. I was relapsing all the time. My mental health was deteriorating. You know, the suicide was definitely becoming an option. I hated myself. I hated being around my kids because of me, not because of them. You know, I was embarrassment. Yeah. I actually, even though I kept trying, I actually thought I'd never, because I kept failing, and I wanted it so much, but I kept failing. Yeah. It was getting to a point in my life that I was like, this might actually kill me. Yeah. Yeah. So when I said to myself, if I get a year clean, I'm going to get vocal. Yeah, because if it wasn't for another man, a stranger, by the way, who opened up and shown vulnerability, I probably wouldn't be sat here now. But that was a big thing for me, telling people in work. So at what point in your recovery did you get that honest? Because I only kept it to the people in the rooms at first. I mean, like, my immediate family. Yeah, like, I've always been vocal on GA. I think when I hit my 90 days, I put a post up. So they say, don't you get to your 90 days, and then watch how much your life's changed. And I couldn't believe it. I got to 90 days, and then that's when I shared, like, a flipping big post about, I didn't go into too much detail, but just said, like, I've been struggling, I've been gambling, blah, blah, blah. And then there was, like, hundreds of comments, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's amazing, well done. So then I started, you know, every year when it comes up, you share it again and, like, hit another year. Because I'm proud that I've done 4.5 years. Like, I actually am now. And then I shared something when I hit 4 years, and then
everyone was like, oh my God, I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. So then in work, they were coming up to me and just like, no way, mate. Like, it's so brilliant that you're speaking about it. And like, you want to spread the word, you want to help people, you want to tell people like, if you're stuck in it, you can come out the other end. Because I always thought I couldn't.
Yeah. The tunnel was always dark.
Yeah,
yeah.
Never. And I know I know I've just said it about 10 times in this podcast, but getting to that little point of, right, the tunnel was like that, you know.
Yeah.
For that to happen, it just changed everything for me. And I am confident now in recovery, and I will sit and speak to people, and even on works dues, you know, and parties and stuff and events and things that I'm doing, people I'll talk about it and they're like, no way, I did do
you feel like you have a sense of pride in it?
Yeah,
So like, I do now.
It's mental
I do, it's
because
mad. I'm like
I
pretty
didn't
proud
4
of it.
years ago. I was
No, I didn't want
disgusted
to
in
tell
myself.
anyone. No,
Yeah. The way I felt about myself as a person, even to how I dress, like now, I'll have pride in how I look, and I just wear casual things, but I love it, and I feel like everyone's looking at me, and they're probably not, but it's just the way that I feel in my heart, and I try to project that on my son now, like build his confidence, you know, he's growing up, and you'll have seen it on my videos, I get him involved, and you know, on the way to school, he's like, Mum, I feel so happy today, and I'm like, you should be, mate, and he's like, I know, I love dancing with you, and you know.
I know you were saying your son was quite young when you first started getting better. Do you think, I mean, there's definitely going to be a noticeable difference between you as a person and as a mum, obviously.
Yeah.
But could you imagine what it would have been like?
Don't even. It's emotional.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I'm not going to cry now, but when I'm in GA, as soon as I start speaking about him, that's it. I'm gone.
Yeah,
I'm gone. And I'm literally bawling. And, you know, I'm speaking about pride things like doing his bedroom, what I'm doing at Christmas now. And like I was speaking about it last week, like, oh, you know, painted, my family have helped decorate and all. And I'm sobbing. And they know, they get it though, and then when they give me feedback, they're like, Hayley, look at you, like, you wouldn't be doing these things for your child.
Happy tears, don't
and
it?
like booking holidays. We're going away next year, me and him, just me and him. And I wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have even booked a holiday. I wouldn't have paid a holiday.
Because it would have gone on the gambling, wouldn't it?
And like making them memories with him, that's what it's about now. And yeah, I'm just forever grateful. And you know, I'm a true believer of like, you have a child when you need a child.
Yes.
Like, I was with my partner for years, and we never had a child, but then we had a child, and then this all happened just after, but he saved me. I feel like if he wasn't in my life at that point, I'd still be doing it. I wouldn't have nothing to focus on. The strength,
extra strength,
And our bond now and our connection is second to none. Like, it's beautiful, and we just bounce off each other, and it's just
it's
pride.
meant to see. You can see that in the videos. It's proper cute. It's meant. And what a mummy he's got.
Thank you.
What a strong woman he's got. Because when it comes to kids, and I mean it, because I get, even though it's gambling, I get where your mindset was, I get how dark it was, I totally understand, and your pain inspires me, and I don't mean that in a mad way, you know what I mean? It's because I appreciate it, and I see you shining here, and it's like, wow, because in theory, I think it's something daft like only 2% of people actually get to the rooms, the fellowship rooms, and then there's an even smaller percentage that actually recover.
Yeah, and come back.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people go out and don't come back because they've either killed themselves, it's got too dark in their head. That option of no one loves them, there's no way out. It happens every day. Yeah.
We are the blessed ones, though. We say it in
really
the rooms.
are.
We are. We're lucky ones that we found the rooms, that we're doing work, because you've got to go through stuff to make yourself a better person. And I think, I know it was terrible what I went through, but I believe that if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, 100%.
And do you know what? Like, I never had those suicidal thoughts, which I'm really grateful for, because I'd like to think of, you know, it's horrible to, when you're so desperate to want to stop doing something, but you cannot do it. People don't get it.
No.
Like, I feel like the way we get each other, and I've only met you today, is nuts.
It's mad, isn't it? I feel like I know you all my life, even from when we
know.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the same mindset.
And that's the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. It doesn't even have to be the same codeine. It doesn't matter, because it centres up in here. It's our way of thinking, and it's our behaviours and how we deal with it. Yeah, it's mega, man. It's absolutely mega. But I just want to say, and I know I've said it loads of times, I want to thank you so much, mate.
Thank you.
Because believe me, you should be super proud of yourself. You inspire me every day.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, no, you do. Don't stop doing you and being you, because people are always watching. And you might not think it, but you'll be helping people. Just because people might not be you'll be helping people, and it'll be a time where these people will be watching you for a while, then they'll pluck the courage up to ask you.
Yeah, and reach out.
And
I want them to, I really do.
They will do, especially
Like, I
after
really
this
do.
now, mate, because the courage you've got even sitting on here, we spoke about it,
Yeah.
I get nervous every time.
Yeah, I was
But
shaking
not
it.
even just, we could just be sitting here talking about stuff that isn't really a bit controversial
Yeah.
or a bit taboo,
Yeah.
because there's still a bit of a stigma around addiction,
Of
isn't there?
course, yeah.
But to come and sit in front of a camera and share your experience, your darkness and your solution, it's special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's just building connections and friendships with people that I probably wouldn't have ever crossed paths with in my life. And recovery, I say it on my social every day, like, it's just beautiful, and I'm grateful. I wake up, I write my gratitude list every day, and I put out them good vibes, and it just gets reciprocated. And yeah, I'm just so grateful.
What you put out definitely comes back, doesn't it?
100%.
We're going to leave it on this then. Thank you, Hayley,
Thank
so
you.
much. Please, everyone, follow Hayley. If you've got any questions, you need any advice.
Yeah, please don't hesitate. Don't be scared. Like, I'm not judging, nothing. I just want to help people. You don't even have to go to GA. Even if you just have a conversation with me, I can give you some advice.
Because that is the
Put you in
start
right
sometimes.
direction.
It's
Yeah,
just a
that's what I mean.
conversation,
Yeah.
innit? Doing something against the grain. So with your mind, you know you've got a problem. Your mind's telling you, really, I need to reach out. But then your head's telling you not to. Tell your head to fuck off.
Yeah.
Because your head is going to keep you in a really bad place.
Definitely.
So again, Hayley,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
You're
That's a
welcome.
wrap.
3, 2,